So, the true identity of the Hollow Knight has been a hot topic of debate recently. New theories come out every single day, and they're usually proven to be propaganda by the very next day. But I think that after months upon months of research, I've finally cracked the code. Okay, so I'm very excited to share my evidence with all of you, but first I'm going to prove that Phoenix can be the Hollow Knight in the first place, and then I am going to debunk the Billie Eilish and Mr. Beast theories.
Genghis Khan is not the Hollow Knight. Genghis Khan is a Mongolian. And of course, since Team Cherry is from Australia, the Hollow Knight is Australian. Mongolians cannot be Australian. Therefore, Genghis Khan cannot be the knight.
Okay, so while this discovery does seem to kill the right theory immediately, since Phoenix is an American, Phoenix's direct ancestor, who lived 200 years ago, is actually Japanese. So, we go from 100% Japanese to probably 99.8% American in the span of 200 years. So theoretically, Phoenix could actually use the same voodoo that happened here to switch nationalities to Australian. Okay, so it is possible.
Now, for the next two theories, you'll notice that both the Avatar and LeBron James have no hair on their heads. The Knight, on the other hand, has two luscious locks of hair. Therefore, both the Avatar and LeBron cannot be the Knight. But you know who has luscious hair? That's right, Billie Eilish.
Well, it's true that Billie Eilish and the Knight do both have luscious hair. Notice that the Knight's hair is spiky, while Billie's hair isn't. This means that the Knight cannot be Billie Eilish. The same goes for Mr. Beast. But you know who does have spiky hair, and who else has a white face, and who else wears blue, and who else has a really pointy finger? Yeah. And Phoenix Wright has a daughter. This is in direct opposition to Phoenix Wright having a son, just like how the Knight opposes the Radiance. Okay, think about it. And Phoenix is always hitting his desk, just like how the Knight is always hitting the ground with D-Dark. Some people might not think that's the same thing, because Phoenix is just putting his hands on his desk, and the Knight is barreling down to crush whatever gets in his way. Hey, but no, you can very clearly see that the Knight is intentionally striking the floor, like Phoenix strikes his desk for dramatic impact. Now, okay, and the three employees of Phoenix's company wear blue, and then wear red, and then there's an orange one, orange like the infection. Okay, and Phoenix's most iconic song is Cornered. Now, how do you kill the massive moss charger? Or you corner it, you back it into a corner. Now, all of that is pretty damning evidence, but it is nothing compared to this. So, Phoenix Wright plays the piano, just like Christopher Larkin. Big whoop, lots of guys can play the piano, this proves nothing. But the piano is telling us where to look next at the game's soundtracks. So we can use those numbers that we get from that to do some calculations, then we end up with 12. Now before we can move on with this, you need to see this. Marissa has 3 syllables, and Marissa accompanies the music in the City of Tears, which is 3 words. Just like how Maya Fey accompanies Phoenix Wright on all of his cases. Okay? Maya Fey and Marissa also look incredibly similar. This isn't the point, but it is another connection But the point is how many times they repeat the number 3. That's why a phoenix plays the piano. That's why there are 3 seals and not 70 seals. And that's why there are 3 main characters that you care about and not 0 main characters. And that's why Team Cherry is 3 syllables and not 40 syllables. Okay? Think about it. They're very clearly highlighting the number 3. So if we add 3 to our sum, we get 15, which is the number of areas in Hollow Knight. Okay? So one Ace Attorney game has 4 to 5 cases. Each Ace Attorney game can be split into kind of sagas through trilogies and duologies. So one Ace Attorney trilogy is 14 to 15 cases. Even though it could theoretically go down to 12, it's always 14 or 15. And just like how Hollow Knight has 15 levels, Ace Attorney also has 15 levels. Okay? And if you are still not convinced and think it's all just a coincidence, as you can see, I've numbered each syllable of the No Cost to Great poem. When we divide 46 by 3, we get 15.333333333. So what are all these 3s? So we have three clusters here. So that is so I think that these 3s represent thirds of things, like how the dreamers are all thirds of the lock to the black egg, or like how the 3 main characters are make up thirds of the Hollow Knight trilogy. And so both still counts even though it hasn't released yet. This remaining 3 is the 3 that we used in our calculation. This is another way that Team Cherry added for you to get tipped off by. This is all intentional. Okay, so, and how many people work at Phoenix's company? That's right, they each make up a third of the company. That's what the third 3 cluster was. And the right anything agency is 6 syllables. So now we could divide that by the number of women in the group, or we could divide it by the number of men in the group, which is 3 letters. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay? And each Ace Attorney game has 3 prosecutors: the tutorial guy, the main guy, and then like a final boss type guy. And there are just so many other triplets in these games. Like, see, February and June are 3 months apart. I would be here all day if I listed all the triplets in these games. But okay. If you still aren't convinced, look at this. So, Phoenix has 2 other names besides Phoenix. Nick, his nickname, and Naruhodoichi, his Japanese name. We can take 3 letters from Nick, 3 letters from right, and 5 letters from Hodu, and rearrange them like so to make Hodu Knight. Okay, now you might not think this counts, because Hodu is 5 letters, but this is actually just third case syndrome. And if you are still not convinced after all of that, look at this. Does that animation not look exactly like the Psyche Locks animation? But if it's Psyche Locks, how come we don't see any locks? You say it's because they're black. You can't see them because they're blending in. And it makes perfect sense for them to be the black locks. since the goal of the night is to repress the radiance into his mind, and it's to repress it and never let it out again. And just like the black Psyche-locks signify. And we can see the chains because there's a Magatama. We can see it because the night has Maya's Magatama. Okay? Think it's obvious. So, yeah. Yeah, the night is Phoenix Wright.